Hi, welcome to another video. So I used one sentence to turn GLM 5.2 into a complete app builder that can plan the work, write the code, and deploy the final product for you. GLM 5.2 recently dropped, and I have been using it a lot. The model is absolutely bonkers. It is currently the best usable model on the design arena, which is kinda insane because it is an open MIT licensed model. The performance gap between GLM 5.1 and GLM 5.2 is quite big. I have already made 2 videos on it, but I wanted to make a complete setup video showing how you can use GLM 5.2 to its fullest potential. So first of all, I have been using it with the ZAI coding plan. The coding plan is quite good. It is genuinely great value for the money, and you can use it with many of the coding tools that you already like. One of the places where I have been using it is Verdant, which is also sponsoring today's video. But this is not going to be a boring feature walkthrough. I want to solve a real problem that I regularly run into and see whether this setup can actually produce something useful. If you make content, do freelance work, or run any small business, you probably have information spread everywhere. One spreadsheet has your projects, another document has deadlines, your invoices are somewhere else, and you're mostly relying on your brain to remember who needs a reply. For me, that means video ideas, sponsor deliverables, publishing dates, payment statuses, and notes can very quickly become a mess. So, instead of paying for another project management tool that almost fits this workflow, I want to build my own creator sponsorship dashboard. The app should let me track every brand deal from the first email to final payment. It should show upcoming deadlines, content status, agreed pricing, invoice status, and the next action I need to take. Basically, I want one small internal tool that tells me what needs my attention and where the money is. This is the kind of project where Verdant makes a lot of sense. Verdant is not just a chat box that generates a few files. It can plan a larger project, divide the work into tasks, run multiple coding workflows, and keep the whole thing in sync. So, let me first show you how to connect GLM 5.2. Head over to Verdant and open the settings. Verdant now works with almost all kinds of third-party APIs. Here, I can configure Claude Code to use my ZAI endpoint, enter the API key, and select GLM 5.2 as the model. Once that is saved, Verdant can use the model through the ZAI coding plan. So you get the value of GLM 5.2, but you also get Verdant's project management and parallel execution around it. This combination is what makes the workflow quite interesting. Now let's build the app. I'm going to create a new project and give it one prompt. I will say, build me a creator sponsorship dashboard where I can track brand deals, deliverables, deadlines, deal values, invoice statuses, contacts, and follow-up actions. Use a clean dark design with rounded corners and subtle green accents. Include a dashboard, a deal pipeline, a calendar, and a persistent database. Make it responsive and ready to deploy. That is a fairly large request. We are not asking for a static landing page. This needs a front-end actual interactions, data that persists, and multiple parts of the app that work together. When I send the prompt, Verdant first turns the idea into a plan. You can see that it understands the different parts of the product before it starts randomly writing code. It identifies the dashboard, the pipeline, the deal form, the data layer, and the testing that needs to happen. This is important because one of the biggest problems with AI coding tools is that they can be quite good at making the first screen. But once a project has multiple connected features, they start losing track of things. Here, I can review the plan and make changes before the execution begins. I am happy with this, so let's start it. Now, this is where Verdant gets quite good. Instead of doing every task one after another, it can run different pieces of work in parallel. One workflow can build the main dashboard, another can work on the deal pipeline and forms, a third can handle the data model and persistence. They are all working on the same product, but they are not waiting around for every unrelated task to finish. If you were building this with a small team, this is basically how you would divide the work between multiple developers. Of course, more agents do not automatically mean better code. They still need coordination, and that is where Verdant's manager comes in. It keeps track of the overall plan, checks the work, and makes sure the separate tasks fit together. Let's wait a bit. Okay, the first version is now ready, and this is actually quite good. The dashboard immediately shows the information that matters. I have the total value of active deals, outstanding invoices, upcoming deadlines, and tasks that need a follow-up. Below that, there is a deal pipeline moving from lead to negotiation, confirmed, in production, and completed. The design is quite nice as well. This does not look like raw HTML with a few random blue buttons. There is a clear hierarchy. The spacing is consistent, and the green accents are used carefully. It feels like a real internal product rather than a generated demo. This is something I have noticed with Verdant. It pays more attention to design than many coding tools. The output still depends on your prompt, obviously, but the default result usually has more taste. Now, let's test whether it actually works. I will create a new deal for a GLM video, add the brand contact, set the value, choose a publishing deadline, and mark the invoice as not sent. Once I save it, the deal appears in the pipeline and the numbers on the dashboard update. If I open the deal, I can see the deliverables, notes, payment status, and next action. I can also move it to the production stage and the dashboard updates again. Now I will refresh the page and the deal is still there. So this is not just a visual mockup. The data is actually being saved, which is pretty good for sure. There are a couple of things I want to change though. The cards are slightly too large and I want overdue follow-ups to be much more obvious. I also want a quick filter that shows deals where the content is finished, but the invoice has not been paid. I can just tell Verdant that in normal language. I will say, make the dashboard more compact, highlight overdue follow-ups in red, and add an unpaid filter for completed deals. Keep the existing dark theme and green accent color, because Verdant remembers the project context and the design preferences I already gave it. I do not need to explain the entire application again. It knows what I mean by the dashboard, and it keeps the styling consistent. Let's send it and see. Okay, this is much better. The information density is higher, the overdue item is impossible to miss, and the new filter gives me a very practical view of money that still needs to be collected. That small detail is why building your own tool can be so useful. A generic CRM might have 50 features that I do not need, but it may still hide the one thing I care about behind 4 menus. Here, I can change the workflow around how I actually work. Now, while this refinement is happening, I can create another task for the mobile layout. I will ask a separate workflow to test the dashboard at mobile sizes and fix anything that overflows or becomes difficult to use. So, one workflow is improving the desktop experience, while another checks mobile responsiveness. Both tasks run at the same time, and the manager keeps track of both. This is the kind of thing that can save a lot of time on a real project. If I wanted to take this further, I could connect more of the business workflow as well. For example, I could sync deal records with Notion, connect payments through Stripe, or push the project to GitHub, but I do not want to bolt on integrations just for the sake of showing a larger feature list. The useful part is that the product already solves the problem we started with. If this were a client product or a small SaaS, this is also the point where I could send it to the first users and start getting feedback instead of spending another week polishing things nobody asked for. That, to me, is the main benefit of this workflow. A lot of AI coding tools can generate an impressive first screen. Verdant is trying to help with the entire path from an idea to a working, deployed product, and GLM 5.2 fits this quite well. It is capable enough to handle the coding. The ZAI coding plan gives you very good value, and Verdant gives the model a system for planning and executing larger projects. It is not perfect. You should still review the code, test the important flows, and never assume that an AI-generated payment or authentication system is production-ready without proper checks. But for prototypes, internal tools, MVPs, and getting a product in front of users quickly, this is a really good option, for sure. Building something alone used to mean that you either moved slowly or compromised on a lot of things. With a setup like this, one person can test an idea, build the product, and ship it much faster without immediately hiring an entire team. So if you already have the ZAI coding plan and want to get more out of GLM 5.2, I would definitely try it with Verdant. Start with a small problem that you genuinely have, build something you will actually use, and then improve it from there. Overall, this combination is pretty cool. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you liked this video, consider donating through the Super Thanks option or becoming a member by clicking the Join button. Also, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye.